Hey guys, can we talk about Malfurion for a second? And this one person, in my opinion, this one person is the reason why all of the healers in this game are having issues. And I'm going to explain why he's the reason that all the healers are having issues, but changing him is not actually the answer of fixing the healers in the meta. So, why is Malfurion such a problem? Well, this right here is the problem. This is from Pro Gameplay, MasterLeague.net. If you ever want to see like pro game builds, all of that stuff. He has a 98% popularity, meaning out of the 102 matches that were done in Midsummer Brawl, and I believe, I don't know if this covered the entire thing, but it should have covered the entire thing of Midsummer Brawl. He was either picked or banned in 100 of those 102 matches. And during that time, he had a 60% win rate. A 60% win rate. If you go to Heroes of the Storm, if you go to Hot Slogs, and then you check the Masters, same deal, the last 3 patches, you're going to notice he was the 3rd most popular hero played, with the highest win rate of all the most popular heroes played. Why is that? Why is he that popular, guys? Why is Malfurion so popular, and yet he doesn't even top healing charts anymore? I see Kharazim's do more healing than Malfurion's now. Even, good Malfurions, sure, they'll end games with 50, 60,000 healing. Master games usually are a little bit shorter. And Deckard Canes are still sitting at 80 to 90,000. You've got Stukovs who are sitting at 70, 80,000. And Alex Straz's can usually get up there as well. So, why is it that his healing's so low, but he's still this most popular hero? And this is where I'm going to get to the problem of Malfurion, and the problem of the team comps that we're running and the healers we have. So, as of right now, because we're not running any auto attack heroes anymore. We're running these mage compositions. We're running these Hanzo, Genji, Tracer, and these like dive heroes, right? We either have dive heroes in a regular composition where we poke people down and have a dive hero jump in, or we're running these compositions where everyone's defending someone like a Gul'dan who just casts abilities the entire fight. So I want to talk about this a little bit and show you what the problem is. If my team were to draft a Tracer, who would you say drafts the best with a Tracer, right? What healer can put a healing over time on a Tracer and keep this Tracer alive over the course of a fight? And that's really the problem that we have in this meta, is there is no healer. It's literally just Malfurion who can put a healing over time. Tracer can jump in there, play aggressive, and have all this healing. This is small healing over time and big bursty heals over and over and over, allowing Tracer to stay aggressive the entire fight and keep getting tons of heals over and over and over, making it to where she can just be this super aggressive damage dealer the entire time. And there's no one else that can do that. Tracer's really Malfurion's the only one who can do that. There's another game I want to show. It was on Infernal Shrines, and I'll start loading this in while I talk about the other healers who could possibly even do this. You have Stukov, who has healing over time, but it's not that strong for a single person. You have maybe, Deckard has healing over time if you get to level 4, or shields over time if you get to level 4. You've got small healing over time on some other people, but otherwise you need to double support it just to make it work. You need to run a Tassadar or you need to run an Abathur. And they have realized that with the double support comps being nerfed, they don't want to do that. So the only single support in the game who can get away with healing a dive hero like a Genji or a Tracer is Malfurion. If they were to add Zenyatta to the game, we would see that Zenyatta would outdo Malfurion in that one role. Alright? But what do you do about a team comp that you have a mage on your team? What do you do when you have a Gul'dan on your team and you want to keep giving him mana so he doesn't have to use his trait so much? Gul'dan's not the best example. Let's imagine Gul'dan was also a, I don't know, a Jaina, and you wanted to keep giving mana to a Jaina. What healer could keep giving mana to a Jaina? Well, in fact, there's no healer that can give mana to a Jaina. Other than Ana at level, what is that? Level 10, and she gets her nano boost, which has been nerfed, by the way. Other than Ana, who has an ability that was nerfed, so she's no longer as good at giving mana and working with mages. That's really the only one who can do it. Deckard has a talent level 4. You can give 10 mana every time you toss out a potion, but they need to have health missing to be able to do that. So if your Jane is playing really safe, you can't give her mana back. Which makes it to where you just can't do that anymore. So, at the end of the day, the only person who fits this composition of a mage is Malfurion. What about dive compositions where more of your team's diving in? Well, you see, Malfurion, he has this thing that gives him movement speed. So, while all these heroes are diving in, he could run in with his team and be safe by moving out without needing to get off of his mount. He'll be faster than everyone. He also has Ice Block, so he could dive in with his team, Twilight Dream, and Ice Block. What other healer works this well with dive compositions? I'm really curious. Let's go into Hot Slogs really quick, and let's sort by just the supports. And let's talk about these team comps for a second. Who works in dive comps? Lily's okay, because she gets the cooldown reduction and she's pretty tanky. She also has her ult that's pretty nice, but it doesn't really add to a dive composition other than the fact that she works okay. Alexstrasza works great with a dive composition while she has her ultimate ability up. Stukov, not really. He can kind of silence the area if his team dives in, but if his team keeps diving in, he can't keep up with his team. Ana has the same problem. Lucio works great with a dive composition, but when his ult is down, he always has trouble, and after a lot of his nerfs, he just has a lot of trouble. Oriel doesn't really work with a dive composition. She can't keep up with her team. Uther, he's tanky enough he can stay in with the team as they go in. Karazim works with a dive composition, but it's like... But the problem is Malfurion isn't just a jack of all trades, and he is. And I think it's okay when you need everything. I think Malfurion would be a perfect healer if you needed everything. But the problem that we're having is that Malfurion not only fits every situation, but he's also the only people who fit certain situations, like a Tracer who's going in. And yes, you could run a Tassadar and Abathur, but that means that you're double supporting. And we're kind of away from that in the meta that we're in right now. Yes, we still do it here and there, but we are a little bit away from it. So he ends up just being the only healer who can run these single dive comps where you have a Genji or a Tracer. He's the only person that works with healers. Yes, Ana's nano boost is good, but it's been nerfed so much that it's not really as good as it used to be. You don't want to pick Ana just into a support and call it a day. She's only great in those small areas, and popping a nano could be a time that the enemy just goes, and we gust. And we Emerald Wind. And they could do anything to just push everyone away. And now they don't need to worry about it anymore. They're like, and we Void Prism everyone but the who got nano boosted. And we just walk away from the one that got nano boosted and wait for the nano to time out. And we polybomb. You know what I mean? And we just mosh the person who got nano boosted. Like, they're all running in to fight, boom, mosh. Like, the problem is nano boost alone, while it's strong with a mage, it doesn't really enable a lot of the mages in the long run. It only enables the mage in the short run. So, what do I recommend to fix Malfurion? And the way I say we fix Malfurion is don't touch him at all. But instead, look at the metas that we're doing and the metas that he's being picked in, and start buffing other healers to where they fit those metas. So what a lot of people were saying is, let's buff Ana again. And yes, I agree, honestly. I think the last nano boost nerf should be reverted. Bring it to a 60-second cooldown instead of a 70. It was at a 50. They bumped it up to a 60. It was It was okay. They buffed it up, or they nerfed it to a 60, nerfed it to a 70. Let's bring it back to a 60 and see how that rolls. I think that'll buff her win rate above 50% on average on hot slogs and make her a better healer for mage compositions. Then I want them to rework Tyrande. And I want them to rework Tyrande in a way that makes it to where she has a true shot aura that's always there. It's a level 1 talent, true shot aura, and she can get a true shot aura that works for mages that increases mana regen and cooldown reduction for mages. Then make her have a true shot aura that gives that gives physical damage and lifesteal on physical damage. And then give her a true shot aura that maybe a last talent that's more selfish, something that she can go back into her assassin build if you really want her to go assassin build. But this would give her the opportunity to be a strong niche healer for mage compositions or for auto attack compositions, but not necessarily for hybrid compositions, which would make it to where she would outclass Malfurion in those mage compositions. But Malfurion would still win in those hybrid compositions, which is nice, because then we would still have Malfurion not getting like nerfed out of the meta, but Tyrande could sneak up ahead in those compositions. Let's buff Rhaegar's damage to where he's much scarier in a full dive composition with everyone diving in. Let's buff... We need people for that healing over time on those individual dive compositions for Tracer and for Genji. Let's release Zenyatta into the game. Zenyatta has an ability that he can throw on someone. If you've never played Overwatch, he has an orb that he can throw on someone, and it stays on them for a really long range and constantly heals over time. But then Zenyatta's healing outside of that one person that dives in is very, very low. So he thrives with a composition that's going to send one person in and be really aggressive with that one person, and everyone else needs to play a little safe in the backline. So that is essentially what we want. We want to, instead of just nerfing Malfurion, who's a jack of all trades, because then he's going to be bad at everything, and he's not going to be played anywhere. We don't want to do that. If they just keep nerfing his numbers, he's going to be bad at everything. What we want to do is we want to release and change heroes to be better at those things. Let's start with Ana. That would be the easiest one. Drop her nano boost cooldown by 10 seconds. Boom. All right. Rhaegar would be the next easiest. He fills the full-on dive compositions. Buff his damage just a little bit, and boom, he's done. All right. Then we go into Tyrande, who's they've talked about giving a rework to. Let's make her good with full-on mage compositions and full-on auto attack compositions. Boom, solves that problem. Then let's look at maybe a healer who can deal with someone who dives way into the back line and just enables them, but make it a risk. If you're giving a lot of potential to the person who's diving to the back line, you can't give anything more to the people that are up front. That's the problem with Malfurion in these compositions right now, is he can not only heal a Tracer who dives into the back line for a long time, but also everyone else. Let's make it to where Malfurion, and let's make it, again, I like the idea of Zenyatta. You throw a healing over time onto someone who dives in, but you can no longer heal people that are up front. You're not useless. You can keep essentially dealing damage and trying to scare off their front line, so you don't need to heal anyone in your front line. Or if you really need to, you need to tell your diver to get back here, because everyone here is getting low and you need to toss the orb over there. And you can make it to where you can set your orb on someone and heal them more. I don't know. But that's really what we want, is something that if they're going to heal someone who's diving in the back line, they need to commit everything into healing them. But it needs to be better at it. Because as it stands, if they're not better than Malfurion at healing someone who dives in the back line, then they're going to just be outclassed by Malfurion. So Zenyatta needs to heal way more into that diver, but then you know how to counter it. You attack the front line. If they're going to be sending someone like a Tracer into the back line, ignore Tracer, deal damage to the front line, and Zenyatta is going to be forced to heal the front line. And that is what we need, guys. We don't need heroes who are going to... We don't need to just nerf Malfurion. We need heroes that are going to outclass Malfurion in each of the different areas, so that unless you're going to be running a very standard composition, Malfurion's going to be the only answer in a perfectly standard composition. But if you want to focus in specific compositions, we need healers who outclass him in those compositions hard. For true dive compositions, we need Rhaegar and we need Uther and Karazim to completely outclass Malfurion. For mage compositions, we need Ana and Tyrande to outclass. For auto attack compositions, we need Tassadar, we need Tyrande to outclass. That's what we need, guys. We need these people to outclass Malfurion in these different ones, so that the only compositions that he's dominating in, without nerfing him, is compositions that you have a little bit of everything, and those he will thrive in. But ultimately, he's being played way too much. He's the most popular support right now in pro play and in regular play, and he's the highest win rate in high ranks and in pro play. He needs to be answered, but he doesn't need to be answered with nerfs. He's already one of the lower healers. He doesn't do as much damage as some of the other healers. He's just not as good at any of the things. It's just the fact that he's the only one that's good in the team comps we're seeing in pro play right now. So that's what I wanted to talk about with Malfurion, and ultimately that's what we need to deal with, is we need to correct the team comps and buff supports to answer these team comps, rather than just keep nerfing Malfurion until he's never played. Thank you so much for watching. I know this isn't my usual video. Normally I don't talk about like balance or anything like that, but honestly, after being someone who I think I watch more pro play than anyone else, and I analyze more pro play and I analyze more high level play, I think it's actually time for me to start talking about balance, because especially in the support field where I'm there all the time, that's what I'm seeing, and I really had to talk about it. So let me know in the comments below if you agree with what I said about Malfurion. Do you really think that all he needs is nerfs? Or do you think that we need to start seeing people buffed into these niche areas that Malfurion is thriving in? I'd like to know in the comments below. Also, if you like this style of video, comment, tell me. I can start talking about some other heroes that I personally think need to be adjusted rather than just keep getting nerfed. Like, I don't know, maybe this guy right here. Or, I don't know, maybe this guy right here, as both of them have major flaws that nerfs themselves won't really do anything to. So, yeah, let me know in the comments below if you want to see more videos like this. And feel free to subscribe. I do a variety of Heroes of the Storm content, psychology content, and later I'll be getting into some unique style of game reviews. But, yeah, feel free to subscribe. Check out my other videos. Thank you.